WXVW. It is going down on a beautiful Saturday morning. This is your boy, Raashaan Myers, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, Big X Sports Radio, going down on a beautiful Saturday morning here, August 15th, 2026. We are midway through the month of August, people. I cannot believe how quickly 2026 is rolling through, man. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, when I even just think about the fact that football is only like 2 weeks away, you got NFL preseason going. We have, new movies dropping. Of course, the Avengers Doomsday new trailer just dropped late last night. So we have that going on. We have so many new shows, all this new energy and excitement. The new season of Reacher season 4 dropped yesterday. I got to start watching that. I am a humongous Reacher fan. So, like, I'm like a kid in a candy store. And then, of course, we have huge Louisville basketball news. We have some notes from Louisville football fall camp. We have Kentucky fans once again mad and upset and worried and, lashing out. And I am just poking the bear over and over and over again, and they just keep falling for it every time. So we're going to talk about all that this morning on Wake Up 502 as we get you ready for your sports weekend. But, man, when I talk about just how many things are going on, it's just crazy. I'm so excited. I'm happy that sports is back, but there's so many non-sports things going on. Like, y'all don't understand. Like, I am a humongous MCU person. Okay, so like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is just a huge part of my mental lexicon. So like when I saw that the new Doomsday trailer dropped and I got to watch that, and Dr. Doom is of course one of those villains that growing up and in the comic books and in cartoons was always just ultimately powerful. And he's one of those guys that you just hope they don't mess up. Don't do the Galactus is a cloud thing like they did in Fantastic Four Part 2 back in the mid 2000s. Like, don't do anything stupid. And I tell you what, man, when I say that it feels like they are going to do Dr. Doom better than even I could have ever imagined, Kevin Feige, man, that dude is on fire. The director for, a lot of these MCU projects, dude is on fire. James Gunn is having a little bit of issue, and the DC version of the cinematic universe is just not working out as well. But as far as Marvel's hitting all home runs right now. Spider-Man Brand New Day dropped in theaters, and it's looking like one of the biggest successes in the history of comic book movies already. A lot of people were saying that, people don't care about these comic book movies anymore. People are tired of these superhero movies. Then Spider-Man dropped in they've almost, I think they've done 700 million plus domestic already, and they've hit $1 billion worldwide in 2 weeks? Like, this is only the second weekend of Spider-Man is this weekend, and they're already plus 700 million in the United States. So I would venture to say people still have an appetite for it, but they want, good movies, and they want characters that they know. And I think that, this Dr. Doom, versus the Avengers is going to be, it's going to break every record. Avengers Doomsday, every record that was set by Avengers Endgame, I think it's going to break all of them. I really do. I'm super excited about it. But, we have so many things happening. University of Louisville basketball has a new commitment in the wake of this 5-for-5 situation. That's where all these rumors coming in. That's why I played the old Club Nouveau Classic rumors, just because there were rumors going around that there was a guy that may be committing to Louisville because of the 5-for-5 judge ruling in Colorado. That went down, so we want to definitely talk about that. There's, of course, rumors about a guy that might be committing to the University of Kentucky that's caused a lot of angst. So we're going to definitely talk about that and the fact that there's just continuing to be so much attention paid to everything that's happening with the University of Louisville, even though the University of Kentucky supposedly has, this great team that they've built down the road, but that's going down. We have University of Louisville, is doing some interesting things with their quarterbacks, and I want to get in and I want to talk about that. And just a bunch of other things. Yeah, the Ravens playing their first playoff game today. That's awesome. We have a U of L great calling it quits. Definitely want to talk about that as well. So we have a lot of things happening. A lot of things going on. So we're going to chop it up and we're going to break it down and talk about it all. And of course, we've got to start, with the biggest news of the week. Seth Trimble, do it all kind of Superman combo guard for the University of North Carolina. Went through NBA Summer League, went undrafted in the NBA draft, but went into the Summer League, had a very strong Summer League, I believe, for the Washington Wizards. Played well, averaged about 10.5 points during the Summer League, showed his abilities as a defender and his athletic ability to finish at the rim and in transition and, be a capable ball handler. And coming off that, of course, we know that the judge in Colorado, approved a preliminary injunction to basically allow all players and athletes from the class of 2022, not just basketball, but basketball, football, and every other sport, to allow those players the opportunity to come back to school and play for their original university, or if that player submitted their name into the transfer portal as a possibility that this ruling may happen, then they would, of course, be able to transfer to a new school of their liking. And Seth Trimble was one of the players, a lot like Denzel Aberdeen, who left Kentucky and put his name into the transfer portal and went back to Florida. Seth Trimble, just in case, put his name into the transfer portal back in April. So when this judge's ruling came down and was approved, it basically gave Seth Trimble the opportunity to start looking for a new home and a new school. And of course, there were some schools that immediately started jumping on some of these transfers. We saw some announcements of some early transfers, and regardless of whether these kids had jumped in the transfer portal or not, there were a lot of schools that were reaching out. I know Tennessee got a commitment from one of those kids super early, and there's been some guys that have been linked with some other schools like St. John's and some others, but there really hadn't been a big splashy commitment as of yet, as we continue to work through if these 5-for-5 guys were even going to be eligible to play. And of course, the University of Louisville had been super quiet. Like, we hadn't heard about Louisville doing anything at all. Pat Kelsey, of course, had done a couple of media opportunities, and he said that, he was very happy with his team. We know that Louisville had a very successful summer. Everybody there, still trying to get back Carter Knox healthy, still trying to get back Obina Akezi healthy, but the guys, had a great camp. They went over to the Bahamas and had a nice trip there. They won their one game over there, looked pretty good in doing it, and was back home, or not necessarily back home, but guys had left for the end of the summer session, had a couple of weeks before they ultimately, I believe, are returning this weekend. The Louisville players will be reporting back to campus. But, there was no real talk about Louisville adding anybody. Of course, Louisville fans themselves, a lot of the Louisville basketball fans have been talking about, I just really think that, going into the season, Louisville has gone into the season with 11 players the last 2 years, and Louisville has been ravaged by injuries. Of course, the first year you have Corin Johnson, you have Cason Pryor go down with the injury. Noah Waterman spent some time on the shelf. You had a lot of guys, Troy Ory went down with the injury as well, season one. And then, of course, we know what happened season two with Michael Brown and the back injury. So people, of course, being very, very hesitant and very, very, worried about the depth for Louisville basketball and did they have enough players. I've been wondering if Louisville was going to look to add anybody because they've kind of played with a shoestring roster the first two seasons. I mean, I know you say shoestring roster's 11 players. You only normally are, most coaches only play 7 or 8. Now, of course, we know that Coach Kelsey likes to play a deeper bench. Coach Kelsey is playing 9.5 guys. Like, he plays usually 9 guys pretty heavy minutes. So for a coach that uses as much as his roster as Coach Kelsey does, you would think it would almost be even more paramount to have a deeper roster, but Coach Kelsey has not really opted to go that way, right? Like, he's kind of utilized the 11 player setup, even though he's playing a deep bench. Well, Coach Kelsey finally decided, I love my team, I love what I have, but the right opportunity came about, and if they were going to take a chance on a player, they decided to go after a player that they felt that if these kids become eligible, he won't have any issue with, there won't be any questions about their eligibility. Because I think one of the big keys with a lot of these 5-for-5 guys was the question of, did your player or did the athlete that you're trying to pull from another team, if you're not a guy, if you're not pulling a guy who is returning to his original team, like say if Louisville was going after Isaac McNeely to get him to come back. Well, Isaac McNeely, under these rules, because he didn't, he played for Louisville last year, he would be able to come back and play no muss, no fuss if these class of 22 guys are able to play. But say if Isaac McNeely wanted to go and transfer to wherever, Virginia, back to Virginia, or, wanted to go to St. John's because, he just heard that Rick Pitino was a great guy, that would cause possible issues because the NCAA has mentioned that any teams who try to bring in players that did not enter the transfer portal during the proper window time would be considered quote-unquote ghost transfers. So they would have never legally put their names into the portal. So them transferring to another school and then that school playing that player would be subject to all types of fines and suspensions. They said basically that their school would be hit with a 20% NIL fine, as well as 50% of 50% of their season would be forfeited by the coach in terms of a suspension. So their coach would have to sit out half the season, and they take a major hit in their NIL budget. And I mean, that's a humongous fine. Now, this has been a threat that's been made by the NCAA, and of course, teams and fans of teams that want to grab some of these 5-for-5 players are going to just say, oh, well, they can just go to court and just say that the NCAA can't find them. And I'm like, I don't know if you can do that. Like, if you want to say, if these courts want to rule that these players can play, maybe there's not much that can happen about that. But, do you want to take the chance on losing your coach if, say, the courts come back and the NCAA goes to court and they win one of these lawsuits, lawsuits that says, hey, you can't really do the ghost transfer thing. Do you want to take the chance that your coach is going to have to sit on the shelf for half the season? So, the thing about the Seth Trimble commitment, I think one of the main things is that this was a young man that actually had the foresight to put his name into the transfer portal and become a legal transfer just in case something like this ruling went down. And I think that foresight and him doing that made the Louisville coaching staff feel comfortable enough that, A, he's a player that would impact the team big time on the court. He would impact the team big in terms of the culture of the team. And C, he would not penalize the team if the NCAA did decide to make these players ineligible. Like, playing Seth Trimble won't hurt the University of Louisville at all. And I think because he met those 3 criteria, he was very, very willing to make this thing happen. So, I think that, Louisville has they did their due diligence. And because of that, I think they were willing to roll the dice with it. And we do have a caller coming in on the Call Your Law Office hotline. Haven Harrington, is that you this morning?
Of course it's me.
Good morning, brother. How are you doing this morning?
Man, I am a proud papa this morning as I get ready to send my little Bambino off to school.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, I know. It's that time. Your baby is going to college, Haven Harrington. How you feel about that?
I'm excited. I'm terrified, but I'm excited.
Well, it's a different world than where you come from. You know what I'm saying? That's what the song says, Haven Harrington. So, of course, she's a little bit nervous, but Marley's going to do wonderful. Good luck to her. I'm glad that you were able to take a few moments to check with us with everything going on this morning. But that's awesome, man. And where's she headed to? If you want to let the folks.
Loyola, Chicago.
Loyola, Chicago. Okay. What's the I don't know their mascot. What's Loyola, Chicago's mascot?
They're the Ramblers.
Okay. Yes. That sounds right. So, okay. So she's going to be a proud Rambler. I love it. That's awesome. So good luck to Marley. Super excited for her. You'll have to let her know that everybody this way is cheering for her. So that's awesome. But yeah, Haven, we just got up and rolling this morning, man. Just kind of breaking down, the big news of the week, of course, was the University of Louisville getting the commitment of the UNC guard Seth Trimble, who is one of the players that is dealing with this 5-for-5 ruling from Colorado, saying that the fifth-year guys or seniors from last year should be immediately eligible. And I was just talking about the specifics and the importance of Seth Trimble making having the foresight to put his name into the transfer portal back in April, making him a legal transfer just in case this ruling came down. And I think that specific ruling and the fact that, this quote unquote ghost transfer penalty is out there for coaches or teams that try to pull players in that did not enter the transfer portal is just very interesting how schools are going to manage that and navigate that, because they're talking about, Haven Harrington, that if players play if teams play a athlete that did not legally enter the transfer portal back in April, the NCAA is saying that coach would be suspended for half a season, as well as a 20% hit to their NIL budget. That's a humongous fine to threaten. Let me ask you, because the reason that this is such an interesting situation is Louisville got this commitment from Seth Trimble. So Seth Trimble followed all the rules. So as long as these athletes are eligible, he'll be able to play. And if they end up ruling them ineligible mid-season, Louisville would not be subject to fines because Trimble handled things the right way. But you go down the road, and, of course, University of Kentucky is looking at one of these transfer guys, Mark Mitchell, who, of course, played last year at Missouri. Mitchell never put his name into the transfer portal, okay? So he's a player that's trying to go to a new school, potentially Kentucky, without having done that. So what the NCAA is saying is that Kentucky would be under these potential for fines and levies and suspensions if Mark Mitchell is ultimately ruled ineligible, say maybe mid-season, if they win their case and these players are now null and void, and Mark Pope would be subject to suspension and all these other things can happen. And I think that's just an interesting dynamic as a background for these teams and and athletes that are trying to play an additional year. Do you think ultimately that this is going to matter? Do you think that these guys that were seniors last year are going to be able to play? I mean, the guys are reporting right now. School starts next week. What do you think about this madness that's happening? Do you think these athletes are going to be able to ultimately play?
I think ultimately, maybe. It's just hard to tell. Honestly, I think what's going on, I think this is more of the NCAA trying to flex whatever muscles that they have left.
Yeah.
Because right now, they've just been neutered by everybody. They tried to, they kind of begging Congress and the Senate to pass a law so they can curtail NIL and things of that nature, but they're, they were late on that. Actually, they were late. They never did anything on that. They kicked the can down the road. I think this is them trying to assert at least a little bit control over what they want to control.
Yeah.
So with that being the case, and with NCAA just taking all sorts of L's in court, I can see a whole bunch of teams come back soon. It goes through some judge in Alabama, Louisiana puts an injunction on and allows the kids to play the rest of the season.
I mean, it's so crazy, right? Like, I mean, and the one interesting thing is like this big watershed ruling in Colorado that made all these players eligible. The judge did go out there and specifically stipulate that athletes, that she literally said, well, you still have to follow the NCAA rules, which means that if you did not enter your name into the transfer portal back in April, you can come back and play, but you can only play for your original team. And she made that as a specific ruling as part of this nationwide eligibility that she gave the seniors. But the problem is this ruling has been made so late in the year. All the teams are already together. So you have a lot of teams like Mark Mitchell's team at Missouri. Missouri already has a full roster, which is wild because there's 15 scholarships available. So the fact that, these schools are actually going out and getting 15 players and putting them on scholarship is crazy. But that's a whole different story. But, Mark Mitchell just basically did not have a place to go back at his original school because the original school was now out of scholarships. So it's just very interesting that all this stuff is happening. This is happening super late in the summer, quote unquote, because we're right here at the start of school. It's just made for just complete chaos across football, across basketball, and the rest of the sports. Like, you just have all these players that don't know if they're eligible. You have lawsuits all around the country. Like, and you know what's crazy, Haven, is that all this could have been taken care of, and none of these players would even be attempting this if one thing would have happened. If the NCAA would have waited until September to announce that all athletes this year would be under the 5-for-5 rule, if they would have waited to make the announcement of 5-for-5 in September rather than announcing it in like May or June, whenever they did that, none of this would have happened, because the only reason that this is even a thing is because they made this announcement while players were still in that limbo between finishing college and figuring out what they were going to do with the rest of their life. Like, it's just another situation where the NCAA trips and falls over their own feet.
But this is what they do. This is what they do. Like I said, this is all about them trying to exert what little control that they have left, that they can, because they've lost it all. They've lost all the rulings. NIL, the transfer portal, has just run amok in college sports. You have all the football conferences trying to realign again to get bigger, more powerful, and more money. And they literally have no control. The only thing they can control and make money on is NCAA tournament, and that's it.
I mean, it's just crazy, man. Like, I don't know who is doing all the decision making there with the NCAA, but it's just wild to me. Like, some of the missteps and trips and gaffes that they made. I mean, you have Louisville football. I know with them being right around the corner, they've been getting ready. But as I understand it, there's two big time players. Jabari Mack, who was a starting cornerback last year, who's apparently just waiting to get clearance so that he can play for Louisville football again this year, as well as D'Angelo Hutchinson, who was darn near an all-conference safety last year for Louisville. And Hutch is sitting out there as a possibility of being added, but it's like mass confusion across all of college athletics, and you have all of these players saying, well, can I play? Can I not play? Am I eligible? Am I not? Like, it's just insanity. And the NCAA just once again, being slow to the party or just not understanding, or having the foresight to see that this would have been an issue, making this announcement when they did, it's just caused more issues and more problems. And it's just
that's
insane.
The fact they're slow to the party. It's the fact that they didn't show up. They didn't get dressed, get in the car, take a shower, none of that stuff to the party.
Yeah.
Like, they just sit on the couch with one hand in their pants, other hand on remote control.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean you're right.
They literally haven't done anything. Like, they literally just let this whole thing unfold in front of them and not put any guardrails. They haven't attempted to put any guardrails. The only thing they attempted to do is punt down the road to Congress.
Yeah.
They helped them legislate for things that they didn't want to do. And this is what happens.
I mean, it's crazy.
It's chaos and mayhem. This is going to wind up hurting their cash cow, the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, which they just expanded this year, by the way.
That mean when a dog is sitting at the dinner table, the whole house is on fire.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, it's just a lot happening. It's a lot happening in college athletics. You know, the fact that they gave those COVID athletes that extra year just completely turned, you know, outside of the fact that NIL, like those two decisions, the NIL decisions coming down and the NCAA not doing anything, then also making the decision to allow the COVID players to have an extra year of eligibility. I don't think they really understood what they were doing when they did that. But, I mean, it has caused so many changes in the college landscape. And it's just kind of thrown off everything, you know?
We'll talk about those changes and talk about being able to add players late with the 5-for-5. What does this mean for the greatness that is University of Louisville? Now they added Seth to the roster.
Yeah.
People are now saying that this is a Final Four team or bust. Like, how much more pressure does that put on Coach Pat Kelsey and his staff to perform?
I mean, you know,
at a high level, because before people were like, you know, they have all the talent to go far, but they make it to the Elite Eight. Okay. But now, I mean, from the Louisville, you know, Phil 68 and everybody else, this is like Final Four bust.
Yeah. I mean,
that's all the pressure for a guy who's only won one tournament game in his entire career.
I mean, that has been the talking point for sure, is that with adding a guy like Seth Trimble on top of what was already the number one recruiting class, you know, in college basketball, you already had the number one recruiting class, and now you add a honorable mention All ACC player, you know, and one of the most important players on the North Carolina roster, a guy who has bled Carolina blue for 4 years and been a captain and a guy who's been looked to as a leader over those 4 years at UNC. To add a guy like that with his with his accolades, it is huge. I mean, and it's made huge ripples. Like Haven Harrington, I don't know if Louisville has ever added a player, especially in this transfer portal era, that has been met with more responses. Like, if you want to know how, you know, what Seth Trimble means to the ACC and you know what the way college basketball people look at him, you just look at how many people had something to say once that commitment was made known, you know, and you'll see how big Seth Trimble is, you know, to North Carolina, and how much people think of him. Because the responses were insane. Yeah. I mean, Duke fans don't talk to anybody. Duke fans don't talk smack to anybody. But we even had Duke people coming out talking smack to Louisville fans out of the blue because they added Seth Trimble.
You know, but now the pressure is about to, I mean, the pressure was on before.
Yeah.
But now this is like, you have to make, like you have to make the Final Four now, or this season will be considered a bust, a complete and total failure.
Well, I mean, hey, look, I agree with you that, you know, there was pressure on Pat Kelsey, but I feel like I don't think it necessarily changed anything, because there was already pressure on Pat Kelsey because he has a $20+ million roster that the Louisville leadership, you know, really went.
About 20, let's say, somewhere between $25, $27 million roster.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the more, you know, it's a top 10. That Louisville spent top 10 in the country money in terms of NIL budget on their team this year. You know, and them going out there, hitting up the boosters and hitting up the money people to make this thing happen, borrowing, you know, we know that they took out bank loans and everything else for this. With the amount of money that they have put in, I feel like the pressure was already on Pat Kelsey, right? So, I mean, if the pressure's already there, I don't think it changes, you know, much.
I think the pressure's on, but this is a whole different type of pressure, because the pressure's like go far, go deep into the tournament. Now this pressure's like Final Four, which is a whole different type of pressure.
I mean,
it's a whole different type of pressure.
I don't think so. I personally don't think that there's going to be much difference. I think that the pressure on Pat Kelsey, like, I don't think he has to get to a Final Four. Like, people that's the Kentucky people. Like, to me, the only people I say, oh, you got to, to me, I think it's still, you got to get, Sweet 16, Elite Eight is a must. I think that if you get to a Sweet 16, I think more so now you're leaning, I say at least maybe Elite Eight is now looking more like the expectation because of what you've done with that roster. So I would say that Elite Eight season this year would be considered a good season. Pat Kelsey getting to the second weekend.
To me, I would say Elite Eight is like bare minimum.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that people will say that Elite Eight was a good season with this roster. Is it good as it could have been? No, because I think that, you have enough depth. You have a first-team All-American preseason guy in Flory Badunga. You have the depth. You have the talent. You have the size. So, this is definitely a team that you say would be a Final Four contender. I think that that's, the biggest thing is I don't know if Louisville would be a Final Four favorite, but I definitely think they are for sure a better contender. In my personal opinion, I think that Louisville set up better this year to be a Final Four team than they were last year. I feel like last year people said that this Louisville team was a quote-unquote dark horse Final Four team because of the talent of a Michael Brown Jr., but I think that this Louisville team is an actual Final Four contender. Does that make sense? Like, this team is a team that's built to make a Final Four. So I think that they are a legitimate contender for the Final Four. But I do think that, an Elite Eight would be a good season for this team. So I don't think the Final Four is the expectation. I don't think they are one of the four, I don't think that they're considered one of the four no doubt best teams, because I would say that those top four teams would be considered your four Final Four favorites, and I don't think Louisville is a Final Four favorite. I feel like this team right now nationally is considered somewhere between 5 and 9 in that area.
What teams would you say have a better roster than Louisville right now?
Texas has an outstanding roster. Duke has an outstanding roster. Florida has an outstanding roster. UConn has an outstanding roster. Those four teams I can think of off the top without even looking them up. I think that there are some other teams that are really, really good as well, but I think that those four are teams that most people look at as maybe the, cream of the crop. I know Houston's right there. Arizona's right there. Then you have Louisville in that mix as well. So it's close. It's close. I think, and that's why I said I feels like, to me, Michigan was up there until Coach Dusty May decided to become a Dallas Mavericks coach. Michigan was right there. So now I feel like Michigan falls back into that group with Louisville and Houston and some of these other teams. But I think, like, right now, I think that Florida, Duke, UConn, Texas, I think that those four teams are kind of seen as the best of the best in terms of rosters. So, I think that this Louisville team, in terms of their outlook, falls into that, different people are going to have Louisville anywhere from 5 to around 9. I don't think that Louisville will drop outside of that area, but I think different people will put them different spots. Now, personally, I feel that Louisville has a top 3 roster, but I think that nationally they don't get that much love because I think, like you talked about it, Haven, the questions around Pat Kelsey and what, can Pat Kelsey get it done, quote unquote, because he only has the one tournament win. I think that is pushing Louisville down a few notches. So, yes, I do think that Louisville has a top 3 roster, in my personal opinion, but I think that nationally, I don't think Louisville's looked at as that. I think that Louisville is somewhere 5, 6, 7, 8 by most people. So that would be the way I would answer it. But I tell you what, let's go ahead. Let's get to this first break. On the other side, I definitely want to talk about what Seth Trimble brings to the table in terms of who's he going to impact on the court, whose playing time is he possibly going to impact as well. We can talk about that. Plus, Haven, I have a couple of news and notes. I know that you're probably going to be out after the top of the hour. So there were a couple of news and notes from Louisville football practice that I want to get your opinion on.
News notes about that, but we have some some big bourbon barbecue mayhem news that just broke 2 days ago.
Oh, really? Oh, nice. So, hey, so we'll get to that news right on the other side when we get back from the break on there. So you are listening to Wake Up 502, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, Big X Sports Radio, and we'll be back in just a moment. back in. Second segment of the show, 96.1 FM, Big X Sports Radio. Wake up 502, Raashaan Myers, Haven Harrington taking care of you this morning as we are going through so many things in the world of local athletics here in the Ville. But before we get back to business, of course, Haven Harrington Bourbon Barbecue and Mayhem is coming up here in a couple of weeks. If you can just talk about, you said you had some late breaking news, so super excited to know what that is. What is going on with Bourbon Barbecue and Mayhem?
Man, it's going down August 28th, 29th, Bluegrass Harley Davidson, Friday and Saturday. It's going to be huge, beyond huge. Just some more late breaking news. One, on Saturday, not only for one small price can you get unlimited barbecue samples, unlimited bourbon tastings, but we're also going to have one of the greatest bands in the area performing for you as well. The Unlimited Show Band is going to perform Saturday night at Bourbon Barbecue Mayhem, followed by two, not one, but two championship fights.
Wow.
Janelle Sim Bulls Taylor is fighting Tyrese Sawyer for the ABO welterweight regional title. And Tim Mayhem Moulton is fighting for the Kentucky heavyweight championship.
Two title fights, two belts on the line.
Two belts on the line. 2 men into 1 man league.
Okay. Very, very nice. Yeah, I cannot wait. It's coming up. It's rushing up on us quick, man. I mean, we're almost here. I mean, you're talking about 2 weeks from today.
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks from today.
2 weeks.
So yeah.
And it's going to. I'm telling you, it is bigger than it was last year. I mean, we already had pay-per-view sold in 7 different countries in 22 different states, which is crazy.
And this is going to be right here in your hometown. You don't got to go to Vegas. You don't have to go to New Jersey. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go to Los Angeles or anywhere else. It's right here, Bluegrass Harley Davidson, right there off of Old Henry Road. It's a beautiful facility. It's a unique setup. It's absolutely wonderful. And I'm super excited for it, Haven Harrington. I mean, it's going to be great action, great fun, great music. The Unlimited Show Band is outstanding. Have seen them several times. They are excellent. So, I mean, it's going to be a great time. I can't wait, man.
I mean, it's going to be huge. I'm excited. And, unlimited bourbon samples by some of the biggest brands in the city. Pursuit, Noble Funk, Copper and Kings, and others going to be there with, this all sorts of bourbon samples, as many samples as you want. Drink responsibly. We got 6 chefs who are flying in from across the country. There's going to be cooking up marvelous flavors for you. Unlimited barbecue samples both Friday and Saturday. We got a pros versus Joes barbecue competition where we're going to have your backyard pros, your backyard Joes going against our seasoned professional pit master. We've flown in. We have an amateur barbecue competition Saturday. I mean, it's so much going on. You just have to come. Go to bourbonbbqmayhem.com. That's bourbonbbqmayhem.com and get your tickets now because they're selling fast. We're beginning to sell tickets, so get your tickets now because I'm telling you, this is like a night that you would never forget.
Absolutely, for sure. So make sure you get out there. I cannot wait to see you guys out there. Of course, myself, Haven Harrington, Jay Has will all be out there meeting and greeting with the people, taking pictures, talking Louisville athletics, talking boxing, talking about whatever you want to. Take some time to see us and say hello. But, this is going to be the second year for Bourbon Barbecue and Mayhem. And, this has been a vision of, going back to the Main Event Sports Show of us talking about having a showcase event during, when all these festivals are going on. And we thought that this could be something that, here locally would take off. And it's already beginning to take off after a great response in year 1. Year 2 is going to be much bigger. It's going to be much brighter. It's going to be much more exciting. So, as this thing continues to go along, you can say that you were there at the beginning with all this getting started before it was cool, and it's just going to continue to grow.
I mean, yeah, man, we even got like the number one cruiserweight out of Costa Rica coming in. So, like, super international talent. We got the number one amateur, well, he's a pro now, turning his first pro fight out of Portugal. Is going to be here as well. So,
yeah, I mean,
worldwide, baby.
Humongous talent. It's great time. And, like I said, if you ever wanted to go out and just, see some great boxing action, man, if you've never been to a live show, just taking the opportunity to get out there and do it is just huge. I mean, it's live boxing. There is nothing like it. If you've never had the opportunity to go out and see a live boxing match, it's definitely well worth your time. This is the home of Muhammad Ali and three heavyweight world champions. So, when you have that type of history around there, I know that the fight game is big around here. I mean, Mike Tyson has fought here. Layla Ali has fought here. I mean, you've had, some of the biggest names in boxing to come through here. So for this city of fighters, I think that getting out there for this type of event, there is no event like this during the year in the city of Louisville. There is no event like this. And, just the opportunity, that Bluegrass Harley Davidson has done to give us the opportunity to set up there. They really loved it. They really enjoyed it. They got a huge kick out of it last year, which is why they basically have said that they want to be the spot for this event year in and year out. So just the investment that they've put into us and the belief in the product has just been huge. And Haven Harrington, I just appreciate all the work that you've done to make this thing a possibility and a reality.
Thank you, man. I'm excited. Don't forget, man, unlimited barbecue samples, unlimited bourbon tastings. I mean, the unlimited show band, DJs. We have a cigar lounge.
Wow. Okay.
So, everything. You kick back in the cigar lounge. So much to do. So much fun to be had. You have to come out, enjoy yourself, have fun. We're not breaking anybody's wallets because we know everybody's price sensitive these days. So come on out, go to bourbonbbqmayhem.com and get your tickets now. Hey, if you want to save a little money, use promo code Mayhem26 and save 10% off of every ticket package. So if you want a VIP table, if you want a 2-day VIP pass, if you want a 2-day food experience, or just a Saturday combo pass, save 10% off everything with Mayhem, promo code Mayhem26 at bourbonbbqmayhem.com.
There we go. So Haven Harrington, of course, before we get back into the basketball discussion, talking about Seth Trimble, and
we got to talk some football.
Yes, we got to talk about football.
Because after Bourbon Barbecue Mayhem, you need to drive yourselves down to Nashville, hang out, so wake up 502, and we bring you the pregame for Louisville versus Ole Miss at Nissan Stadium.
Cannot wait for that. I am counting down. That's 3 weeks from today. So you got Bourbon Barbecue and Mayhem coming up in 2 weeks. 3 weeks from today. From tomorrow. 3 weeks from tomorrow, because the game is on a Saturday or Sunday. Down in Nashville. But cannot wait for that. It's coming up so quick. Make sure you guys come down there and be a part of the pregame as we get you ready and count you down to kickoff. Super, super excited to be getting down there, getting back into it. Cardinal football back, ready to see what this football team can do. Y'all already know me. Y'all know my stance and my opinion, but there has been some interesting news and notes coming out of practice this week at Haven Harrington.
Should be Brahms on paper. This be Brahms' most talented team on paper.
Yes, it should, for sure. I mean,
except for one critical position, this is Brahms' most talented team on paper.
Yeah, just a little question about the quarterback position, which has been the question of the team every year that Brahms has been here. Going into every year.
It's weird for such an offensive-minded coach, for a guy who came here as an offensive savant. Literally, the strongest of the 3 years he's been here, the defense has been the strongest unit 2 out of 3 years.
Yeah. And the best quarterback has been the guy who came into the season with the most question marks. I mean, Tyler Shuck, people had no idea what Tyler Shuck was going to be. Like, Shuck ended up being an outstanding quarterback and one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. in his 1 year at Louisville. But people there were more question marks about Shuck than any of the other three quarterbacks that Brahmas brought in, and Shuck had the most successful season. So we'll have to see, because there are a ton of questions about what Keen Holtz is going to be as a quarterback. So maybe because there's more questions on him, he's going to just excel and be awesome. That's what the hope is. But Haven Harrington,
like we know he can run. Just the main question is what type of arm talent does he really have?
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be the big question mark is throwing the football. What's he going to look like? I mean, there's been a lot of talk about the feet, and it's very interesting because there was a note that came out during camp that at the last open practice, of course, Louisville has now gone and closed their practices, but Thursday was their last open practice with the fans. And one of the things that was noticed by some of the media that were there on the sidelines was that Louisville, when they went through the drills, when the running back drills came up, the quarterbacks were taking snaps and doing the running drills with the running backs. That's definitely never happened under Jeff Brom. And to me, Haven, that just tells me that this is definitely going to be a different offense if you are running your quarterback through running back drills.
I mean, I would not be surprised to see a West Virginia playbook with a little Steve Slayton and Pat White action come through.
Yeah.
Because Keen Holtz is known to be such a prolific runner. I remember watching, going back to spring game, Briggs Cherry seems to have, to me, the most arm talent on the team by far.
Yeah.
Of guys with just, the ability to throw the ball, his deep passes. So, to me, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be real interesting to see, how this whole thing shakes out. Because, this season will rest on the right arm of Keen Holtz. So and he has a strong first test. So I'm excited. Even I think Ole Miss is not going to be the Ole Miss of years past because they no longer have their head coach. And I know that they kept it in staff and hired the defense coordinator.
Yeah.
But he's still not Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
Still doesn't have the swag that Lane Kiffin has, and Lane Kiffin calling the play, things of that nature. So it's going to be interesting to see how the team changes with the defensive coordinator in charge versus having Lane Kiffin in charge, and what does that look like now? I
mean, it's always different when you have a D coordinator as your head coach. Then, Lane Kiffin is the definition of offensive head coach. So with having a defensive coordinator there, I know that Trinidad Chambliss is still there after getting his injunction that allows him to play another year of college football that I won't get into again, but it's definitely going to be different with Ole Miss. Ole Miss is coming in. They're the number 9 team in the country, according to the coaches. We're still awaiting. I believe the AP poll comes out this week. So we'll see where if Louisville lands in the top 25 in the AP poll. But there's going to be a top 10 opponent for Louisville in Ole Miss in week 1. Ole Miss is seen as a heavy favorite. I think the ESPN odds, for whatever you want to say those are worth, Louisville only has about a 23% chance of victory in Nashville, according to ESPN. So it seems like Ole Miss is going to be saddled as a pretty decent favorite, probably 5-6 point favorite, my guess, going into this game. So, it's definitely going to be an opportunity that Louisville's going to have to make a statement in week 1. To me, Haven, you have to tell me what, your opinion on that, but I think going to more of a Steve Slayton, Pat White look and kind of having another threat in the backfield with a running back as talented as Isaac Brown. If you have a quarterback that is an actual threat to where he can pull a linebacker away from Isaac and pull a defensive lineman away from focusing on Isaac, I think that can be huge for the offense.
That's beyond huge. Because Isaac Brown arguably is the best running back in college football. And I think we talk to any experts, if you talk to any NFL draft, folks, scouts and whatnot, they will tell you Isaac Brown is probably the best running back in football. The only reason he hasn't submitted himself as the best running back fumble issues, and his durability. Other than that, he has all the tools.
Yeah, for sure.
All the tools.
Hey, man.
Go ahead. Wiggle, dangerous.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I know we're up against it. We only have about a minute before we get to the top of the hour break. But there was big news, and I know you're out of here at the top of the hour. Big news this week: Teddy Bridgewater calling it a career. Just your lasting impression of Teddy Bridgewater. You only got about 30 seconds, but just tell me what Teddy meant to the University of Louisville.
Teddy Bridgewater, one of the great quarterbacks ever to come through the greatness of this quarterback University of Louisville. Gave us probably the greatest football game experience of all time, which was the Sugar Bowl when we destroyed Florida. Only game that maybe could rival that is when we played West Virginia in the blackout game. But big ups to him. Hopefully he can join the coaching staff and start the coach career here in Louisville.
I like it. I like the opinion, but absolutely. Congratulations, Teddy Bridgewater. Thanks so much to you, Haven Hanford, for going in. Go ahead and get your baby girl to school. I appreciate it, brother. This is Wake Up 502. We'll be back with hour number 2 in just a sec. Welcome back in. Second hour of the show. Wake Up 502, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. Big X Sports Radio. Big shout out once again to Haven Harrington for checking in with this hour number one. He is headed up to Loyola, Chicago, taking his daughter to school. So appreciate him checking in with this hour number one before he got on the road. But hour number two kicks off with a bang. Joining us on the Call Your Law Office hotline, the man, the myth, the legend, one of the best to ever do it in the city of Louisville. Jay Haas is joining us on the line this morning. Jay, good morning, brother. How you doing?
What's up, Raashaan Myers?
Man, how you doing this morning, brother?
Man, doing great, man. Doing great. Jay Harris, man. Hanging out with you guys, man. Raashaan and Haven, man. I got a great little show today this morning.
I heard you got something big for us this morning. So what's going on this morning?
Let me introduce my guest this morning. This man has been in my life over 30 years, and he touched my life, and he's one of my best friends. Ladies and gentlemen, I got the CEO, Vice President, the head person in charge for Arcadia Senior Living, Brian Durbin.
What?
What's up, fellas?
Man, the man is on with us. What's going on, Brian? Good morning, brother. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. When I hear about bourbon and barbecue and a little boxing, you know I got to be in the mix.
I already know. I cannot wait, Brian. 2 weeks from today, man. It's going down. We're 2 weeks.
Oh, this is a big deal. I went to y'all's website. Man, this thing looks awesome.
Oh, it's amazing. It's an absolutely amazing event. Year one was awesome, and I think it really opened a lot of folks' eyes to the event and the possibilities. So, I mean, this year is going to be so much bigger. We have more fighters. We have, people clamoring for the pay-per-view rights. We have apparently 7 different countries that have already logged in with pay-per-views and gotten their subscriptions for the event. So it's huge, Brian. It's going down, man. 2 weeks from today.
Well, the thing it does for me is it gets my body conditioned for tailgating. And that's what I need to do. I need to get my body and my mind right to get into tailgating mode. And what better way to do that than get out and get some cigars? I heard Haven talk about that.
Yes.
A little bourbon, a little barbecue. You got pit masters coming in from all over the place. I mean, my gosh. I mean, what more could a man want?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to be there, and then you're mixing in some of the top fighters coming in from around the country. So I can't wait. It sounds terrific. Great location, venue for it. So that's the weekend before the real weekend starts for football. Right. So that's going to be a great little warm up. I'm excited about it. Congratulations, you guys, for putting it on.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. No, it's awesome. I cannot wait. I'm super excited for it. I can't wait for the weigh-ins there. They do the weigh-ins right there in the showroom the day before on that Friday. So that's going to be awesome.
That'll be Friday?
Yes, that'll be Friday. The weigh-in will be going down there. The Unlimited Show Band will be out there, doing music. There's going to be a DJ. I mean, there's so many things happening. And like we talked about, unlimited barbecue samples, unlimited bourbon samples. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. So, yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks away, fellas, 2 weeks away. But, hey, let's talk about it. I got to know, Louisville football, how are you all feeling? We're 3 weeks out, 3 weeks from tomorrow, tip off in Nashville.
I mean, it's like Christmas for me. I told Jay has. I mean, if you're a Louisville fan, we're kind of famous for our Cardinal caravans. If you're a Louisville fan and you're not going to caravan down 2.5 hours to Nashville for just an incredible weekend, I mean, you got the Broadway block party. Our top 10 volleyball teams playing the same day.
Yes.
Right downtown. And then you got a big tailgate. There's several Louisville events going on. Downtown Nashville, big party at Category 10, which is Luke Combs Bar, right down on 2nd Avenue. All the Cardinal fans are going to be there after the volleyball game, and then heading right into the matchup against a top 10 team. And, I mean, I like our shot. When I look down this roster, I heard y'all talking earlier about the talent. I mean, and I don't think Brown's going to change. It's not in his DNA to not want to throw the ball around a little bit when you got the talent that he's got at the wideouts, the slots, and the tight end position.
Yes.
But hey, I'm fine being known for a little defensive team because defense have won us a lot of football games, but this team's got talent across the board on offense too. So, but I'm telling you, this is going to be an epic weekend for Cardinal fan. We can't wait. I'd get in the car today if I could get down there. The hotels weren't so expensive for being down there for 4 weeks. But I'm telling you, it's going to be a terrific time to be a Cardinal fan down there. And Nashville knows how to throw a good party.
Man, I'm excited about it too, Brian and Raashaan and guys. And I'm truly excited about this Nashville trip to Valley Park, was what I call it. Let me interject real quick. There's a lot of stipulations going on with a lot of college sports and NIL program and money-wise, NCAA. What's your intake on this NIL program?
Well, it seems like it's going to change every year a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see what what the politicians up in D.C. come up with their plan. But I mean, I'm certainly supportive of athletes, taking advantage of their talents and their name, and they bring just a tremendous amount of income to the universities. But I don't know long term how sustainable it is. I heard Haven and Raashaan talking about $25 million rosters, and
yes.
Eventually, you got to think, where is that money going to keep coming from? Because I don't know how sustainable that is, and you hope that there's enough depth of support at the university with corporations and with high net worth folks that love to see their teams compete and succeed. But it's kind of been the Wild West out there with changes, and I'm hopeful that there's some rules and some sanity that starts to enter into the equation, and that it doesn't just turn out the top 7 or 8 wealthiest universities are the ones that are able to sustain, and everybody else is kind of in the background. But I don't know. I wish I had all the answers, but I think there's people looking at it, and I think there'll be hopefully some common sense solutions that enter over the course of the next couple of years, and we can sustain it. Because heck, we love our football, we love our basketball, and we want to see them do well and compete at a high level. But I don't know how many $25 million rosters we can afford year after year.
Yes, it's definitely an interesting strategy that the University of Louisville is employing this year, because we know that they put their best foot forward. We know that there was a lot of effort put into putting together a competent football roster. Jeff Brom talked about it a lot, talking about having enough NIL to go out there and get the players that he needed. Go out there and get better offensive line help. Go out there and be able to retain an Isaac Brown. Get out there and being able to bring a Keywan Brown back as well. There was a lot of effort put into NIL on the football side. Then you turn around and do what the basketball team did. It's definitely been an all chips pushed to the middle of the table type situation. That's why I think, Brian and Jay, that, this year is very important for the athletic program overall. Like, I think that there needs to be a certain level of success so you can start to see some of that return on investment. I mean, the ACC has moved to a model of, you are compensated for how successful your program is. So, eyeballs on screens, being able to go into the playoff in college football, being able to go deep into March in basketball, all those things are huge. So I think that this is kind of Louisville, to me, saying this is our put up or shut up moment for the athletic department to see if this setup, financially can be consistent and sustained over the next few seasons.
Yeah, well put.
So I mean,
Raashaan and Haven Harrington,
yes, sir,
and Brian Durbin. In closing remarks, Brian, tell us a little bit about your facility and some things that you got coming up in the new season and new year of 2026-27.
Oh, Jerry, I appreciate that. My business is really predicated on taking care of our elders in the community that need support, maybe are struggling to live independently at home. So we work really hard every day, as you know, to provide great support and services for seniors in our community, and I appreciate you bringing that up. But I'll tell you one thing that I want to bring up before I jump off here is switching gears back to football.
Yes, sir.
When you talk about defense, Raashaan, I mean, I'm talking names like Tayon Holloway, Stanquan Clark, TJ Capers, Antonio Watts.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these familiar names, and I haven't even mentioned Cleb Lubin, all conference. I think he'll be one of the top players in the conference, if not the country.
Yeah, the Sporting News had him.
And I'm excited about this defense.
Hey, Brian, let me tell you something. The Sporting News had Cleb Lubin listed as a third-team All-American. So, you're talking about one of the best defensive players in the whole country. I saw a listing of the top 10 pass rushers in the country, and in the ACC, and Louisville had 3 of the top 10 in there. And
we know how disruptive that can be to another team's offense when you can put that kind of pressure on quarterbacks and make them rush throws. When you got D-backs and linebackers that are really talented, I mean, just disruptive. And we saw it last year. I mean, our defense won us a lot of games, and I know Ron English is not there, but I really love the enthusiasm of our co-coordinators. I've listened to them talk several times over the last couple of weeks, and man, they've built a roster. They got talent, they got depth, they got size, and they got guys that are going to get in the backfield and disrupt offenses. And I certainly hope we can do that in Nashville, because we're going to have our hands full. It's a good team, a talented team in Ole Miss. But I really like. We're 6.5-point dogs. But I remember a game last year traveling down to Miami.
Yes, sir.
Number 2 in the country, undefeated. Louisville fans a little quiet going into that stadium, thinking, I'm not so sure we got a shot here. And you all remember what happened there.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir. And it was that defense that stood up and took care of things. 4 picks, and boy, I'd love to see that same thing happen in Nashville. People, y'all got to get down to Nashville. I'm telling you, it's going to be a big time. Huge time.
It's going to be huge.
You don't have this much opportunity like this.
No,
not at all.
No. Jay has it. You got anything else for us before we get you out of here? Lamar Jackson, I'll say the Ravens. Lamar Jackson's not going to be playing in the preseason. They've already announced that. But the Ravens play their opening preseason game today. I know you're excited about football being back. Any thoughts on any of that? Are you more hyped? I know you're excited about the Louisville season, but this season for Lamar, they got him everything. They got him a new coach. They got him, more help at the wide receiver. They have, the best offensive line they've had. I've seen the Ravens listed as maybe the best team in the AFC. This is just an exciting year for all the local, Louisville basketball, Louisville football, the Ravens, team in football, the women's basketball team, the volleyball team is top 10. Like, there's so much excitement for, locally about these teams, man. I know that it's just, we only got a couple weeks, fellas. I'm super excited about it.
Well, Raashaan, real quick, I just want to say this real quick. You talked about it earlier in the show, talked about the 5-5. Just a little bit, just educate some of our audience just tipped into the show right now. A little bit about what is concern of the 5-for-5.
Yeah, no, to me, this is the big thing going on in college athletics. With the ruling in Colorado and the judge basically coming out and granting eligibility to all of the athletes that were graduates of the class of 2022 out of high school. she kind of threw a monkey wrench into everybody's plans, and everybody's attacking it differently. And I think that at the forefront of that, you have University of Louisville going out there and making an addition in Seth Trimble, who was a all-conference honorable mention player at the University of North Carolina. You have Louisville actually having a couple of football players waiting in the wings, a couple guys that everybody knows around here, Jabari Mack and D'Angelo Hutchinson, that are waiting to get clarification on their eligibility of the potential of them coming back to the team, Brian, to talk about boosting their defense. But it's kind of crazy right now. You have Kentucky that has a player in court in Mark Mitchell that potentially could be a Kentucky Wildcat. He hasn't committed yet, but they're looking at it. But you just have all these things going on. You have the aspect of players that did enter the transfer portal versus players that did not enter the transfer portal, and can they transfer? And it's complete insanity. We hope to get some resolution to that this upcoming week, at least locally. There's a lot of athletes, including Mark Mitchell, Tomas Castellano, and some other Louisville football players that have put in to try to get this local judge to get them clearance so that they can play for Louisville this upcoming season. So it's very interesting right now, fellas. There's so much happening with the NIL, going on with this 5 for 5, and nobody really knows what's going to happen. And you know what? Classes start this coming week. So players are needing to report. It's just complete insanity. We'll figure out where everything is going to be, hopefully by September 1st, but I don't even think at that point everything is going to be over and done with. This could literally go into November or December with rulings coming across. I mean, if the NCAA ultimately wins, you could have a situation where players are playing for their teams and then all of a sudden are ineligible in December or January.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Raashaan, Brian Durbin's under the pleasure in Haven Harrington.
Jerry, thank you for having me on. I wanted to say one more thing.
Absolutely.
I've been thinking about this. You bring up Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
I want to nominate Lamar Jackson for president and have Donovan Mitchell as his vice president. And I think those guys could get up there and clean things up a little bit. Maybe we'd have Russ Smith as a Secretary of Defense, since we know he's a great defender.
Hey, I love that. Hey, but you know what?
Let's get those guys up there to clean it up a little bit.
Hey, fellas, I'll tell you what. Hey, Teddy Bridgewater just retired, so hey, Teddy's not doing anything. Let's get him back in there. Let's get him in there as
Secretary of State.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, fellas, I appreciate you all making some time.
Raashaan and Brian, real quick, man, we are headed to Nashville in a couple weeks.
Yes.
Me, James Linton, Brian Durbin, Raashaan Myers, Haven Harrington, we hit it up. Baby, I'm telling you, Nashville, we're going to turn it out.
I can't wait.
Look us up.
Wait. Hey, I appreciate it, fellas. Thanks so much this morning.
Good, guys.
Thank you all. There we go. Jay Has and Brian Durbin checking in. Let me tell you something about Brian Durbin, y'all. Not only is he a leader in the community and one of the faces of everything that's good going on with the city of Louisville in terms of your leadership. He's big with the University of Louisville Alumni Association. He's the man that handles a lot of those things and those responsibilities. But Brian is the biggest Louisville fan. When you talk about a dude that lives and dies with his Cardinals, you will not find a bigger Louisville fan than Brian Durbin. Just a huge booster and just a big part of what makes this community and its fans and its supporters better and unlike any group anywhere. And I'll put our folks up against anybody. So definitely appreciate Brian. And then, of course, Jay Has, one of the best to ever do it on the radio, checking in with us as well. So super, action-packed. Brian, I know Brian's ready for that football, y'all. Like, you can hear the passion in his voice. He's so ready. And I'm just going to be honest with you, man. Like, the dynamic ad to me of Keenholz brings something that I have waited to see from the Jeff Brom squad since he got here 4 years ago. I think to me that quarterback run game is something that adds such a dynamic. That's one of the things that, having your traditional drop back offense and just being just drop back only is really difficult to do in 2026, 2027. And I think that, even though Isaac Brown has been dynamic, even though Keywan Brown has been excellent as well, and Louisville's been one of the best running teams in the country, I think that adding the threat of the quarterback running just opens up so many things both for your running backs in terms of pulling away defensive assignments, which can lead to, bigger holes and bigger opportunities with the running game. But it also pulls up those linebackers, so you have opportunities for your tight end. You have opportunities for your slot receivers and those guys, running backs out of the backfield, to be able to find space. I just think that it makes it so much easier on the offense. And I know that Jeff Brom has always been a guy who likes to just have a quarterback that can sit back there and sling it all over the field. But I just think that the quarterback run game is so important. And I've always been, I've always thought that way. And I just have always felt when you have a quarterback that at least has a threat, to make plays with his feet and be able to pick up first downs running the football, it just adds so much of a dynamic to your team. So I am excited. I'm not sure what Lincoln Keenholz is as a passer, but I think that what he's going to add in terms of his ability to run, what he's going to add in terms of his ability to be a leader, those are the types of things that they talked about. I think that this Louisville team has an opportunity to be special. I think that Louisville's going to be one of the best rushing offenses in the country. I think they're going to be one of the best defenses in the country. And this may be a little bit of a different team than what we're used to in terms of a Brian or Jeff Brom led football team where, you're used to this high flying passing offense where a guy's dropping back and throwing it 40 or 50 times. I don't think you'll see that this year. I think you're going to see a guy who maybe drops back to pass it 25, 30 times and really has an effective run game that just keeps the defense off balance. And you'll have a dominant defense that can, kind of hold teams in check. So I'm super excited about it, man. I cannot wait for it. I'm not doing a prediction on the season this year. You all know my feeling and my opinion on that at this point, that it's definitely a show me situation. And I definitely want teams to show, the team to be able to show me what they can do first. So, that's just where I'm at with it. I can't go out there and just say, okay, I believe in A, B, or C, without seeing it, but last 2 years, let's just be real. I mean, 8 wins is nice in the regular season, but there were higher expectations, and Louisville had a schedule that, begged to have 10 wins last year, and they didn't get it done. So I just need to see Louisville go out there and do it. I'm not going to give a prediction on the games because I honestly don't know what they're going to do. But I will guarantee you one thing. I will be out there supporting the team, and I will be super, super excited for every success that they have. I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take a little bit of an early break. And then when we get back on the other side, we're going to jump in, get your text in, 502-414-1450. That is the Game Day Men's Health text line. Would love to hear from you if you have any thoughts on anything you've heard this morning, Seth, from Seth Trimble to the 5 for 5, Louisville football, bourbon barbecue and mayhem, or whatever else have you. Get those in now. I'm going to read your text on the other side. If you have any messages on Twitter, X, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching us, you can get those on there as well. I will make sure to read those. And then we're also going to get into what Seth Trimble means on the court. And, who is going to be impacted by this? Do I think it's going to be a huge impact? Do I think that people are going to be upset? I'm going to get into all of that the last 30 minutes. You are listening to Wake Up 502, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, Big X Sports Radio, and we'll be back in just a sec. Up 502, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. And I tell you what, man, it's been a wonderful show so far. Thanks so much to everybody checking in. I appreciate Haven Harrington taking a little time this morning. Thanks so much to Jay Haas. Thanks so much to Brian Durbin. Just the excitement for sports to be back. Everything is right around the corner, y'all. And once this roller coaster gets started, it's going to be nonstop, week in, week out. I mean, college football coming up in a couple of weeks, then NFL starting right after that, and we're just going to go right into basketball season. And it's just so many things happening right now. And just around here locally, so much excitement around sports is why that there's nowhere else in the country like it is in this area. When you have U of L and UK and the fans going back and forth, I mean, I have been interacting and, heckling and messing around with the Kentucky fans about just everything going on with, UK and Louisville and Mark Mitchell and all these things. And I'm having fun with it, but, sometimes the Kentucky folks get a little annoyed with me. But, hey, this is the off season. This is what we do. And y'all know y'all are scared. So I'll just put it like that. But let's go ahead. 502-414-1450. Got a couple of texts that came in this morning. So definitely want to check in with them on their texter says, I get that fans are happy about Seth and UK wanting some luck also. He says, but I've lost my passion for so-called college sports now. NIL and transfer has destroyed it. I mean, look, first of all, you're still going to be watching the games. I understand that you say that, your passion is gone because players are getting paid. First of all, players deserve to get paid. Okay. NIL was a needed situation in college athletics because college athletics is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And, you had athletes that were not getting compensated, at least above the table, for all of their efforts. These are young professionals. These guys go out there, they train year round, they're putting their bodies on the line. A lot of them, have injuries that last them a lifetime and they get no compensation for it. And only a small percentage of these guys are going to be able to play at the next level in the NFL, in the NBA, overseas. So, they deserve to get compensation for the work that they put in, and especially because the universities that they represent make tons of money off of their backs. So, could it have been handled better? Could the NCAA have handled putting rules around this and with the transfers and everything else? Yes, absolutely. And that has to happen. But I don't think that NIL is the devil or the NIL is the problem. I think that the problem has been that leadership has dropped the ball and drug their feet at every turn of this situation, which has made everything completely unruly. And now it's almost like you're trying to put the genie back in the bottle. But I understand your frustration, and I think that frustration is shared by a lot of people, in the situation. So I get it. I understand it. But I think that things will get worked out. This Protect College Sports Act is still out there. I know that it did not get put to a vote before Congress closed session. I am hopeful that the bill will still continue to be on the docket moving forward, or some version of the bill will get put through, because it's definitely necessary and it's definitely needed, just to keep college athletics close to what it has been, and the sport and the action that we've known and loved our lifetimes, basically. Texter says 502-414-1450. Luke Hancock said Seth doesn't really change what he thought about the team, and he is not whom he would have chosen. Luke, that's an opinion to have. For sure. I think that, a lot of people look at this Louisville team and they look at it through the lexicon of, we've heard it. We've heard it over and over again. Louisville needs shooters. Louisville needs shooters. Louisville needs more shooting. And how do I say this? Okay, so the way I'll put it is like this. People always look at, quote unquote, who are the shooters? So if you're talking about Rain Smith, if you're talking about Isaac McNeely, if you're talking about, certain delegation, short guy who's known for being a sharpshooter, Yeah, Louisville doesn't have that guy this year. I don't think Louisville wants that guy this year. And the reason I say that is the problem with having that guy is when you have a Rain Smith out there, or you have an Isaac McNeely out there, or somebody of that ilk, you're sacrificing defense and you're sacrificing size and athleticism for shooting. I don't think Pat Kelsey wants to do that this year. Now, if you could find a Ryan Conwell out there, fine, because Ryan is a sniper of a shooter, but he also does not hurt you in terms of defense and in terms of what you want to do from an athletic standpoint. So if you could find that, okay. But I don't think that was seen as a must. I feel like what Louisville has done this year is they've gone out there and they've gotten great athletes, great scorers, great defenders, and good enough shooting. Okay. And like I said, I felt like, yes, this is not a team that is going to put 3 or 4 guys that all shot 40% from 3 at their previous stops and put them out there. But I don't think you need to. I mean, because even though Louisville, I mean, if anything taught you last year, Louisville had 3 guys that transferred in that were 40% 3-point shooters. So you had Adrian Woolley, you had Ryan Conwell, and you had Isaac McNeely that were all 40% shooters at their previous stops, as well as Michael Brown Jr., who was about a 40% shooter out of high school. And guess what that got you? A team that on the year shot about 36% from 3, and guys that most of those guys shot under 40% for the season. I think only Isaac McNeely shot over 40%, and that was barely. It was 41%, his lowest percentage in the last couple of years. And the reason for that was because Louisville had no balance to their offense. Louisville had no balance to their game. They did not have guys that had the ability to put the pressure on the rim offensively to keep the defense honest. So what you ended up having was a team that had a bunch of great shooters that could never get open shots, because all teams did for the last, I won't say the last 2 years, because the offense was a lot different year one, but that was more based on the injuries and just having to make the best out of the situation. But last year, when Louisville had the team that they wanted and they had the offense that they wanted, Louisville did not have enough guys that were dynamic with the ball in their hands, that could be strong with the ball, could be aggressive getting to the rim, could draw fouls and draw the attention of the defense. And because they didn't have that, all of your great shooters, all your 40% shooters were out there on the perimeter and couldn't get open shots, and basically had to end up forcing a lot of contested threes all year long, which lowered their percentages, which made Louisville go through humongous droughts, because you had guys that were just basically passing the ball around the perimeter to each other and then jacking up some 30-foot three. It was bad offense. It was terrible offense that Louisville had to just figure out a way to kind of make enough shots if they kept throwing the ball at the rim and hope that their defense was good enough to hold up. Louisville doesn't want to do that this year. Louisville wants to have a team that can be a much more effective and much more efficient offense that takes advantage of, multiple ball handlers. I think that's where, while Luke Hancock is a MOP. Luke Hancock is one of the all-time great Cardinals, and no disrespect to him, but I think that Seth Trimble is exactly what Louisville's needs. Like, when you think about it, what was the biggest thing that's been missing from Louisville the first 2 years? Depth at the point guard, right? Depth in terms of ball handlers. Year one, you pretty much only had Chucky Hepburn that could handle the ball, and you had Fat Edwards that could handle the ball a bit, right? You had 2 guys that could dribble, okay? Once Corin Johnson went down, Louisville did not have anybody else that could handle the ball and do much of anything. And the third best ball handler on the team was Cason Pryor, a big man, and he got hurt. So, you pretty much had to have Chucky Hepburn or Terrence Edwards Jr. on the court at all times, or you literally could not run any sort of competent offense. Year number 2, once again, you are very, very limited in terms of ball handlers. You thought that Kobe Rogers could be that backup point guard. You thought that Adrian Woolley could be that reserve point guard, but let's be honest. Kobe Rogers was not a dynamic ball handler. He didn't have the burst. He really couldn't get into the lane and do anything offensively to, consistently create advantages for the offense. And Woolley was a serviceable guy to throw in there because you had no choice, but he's still not a guy who's dynamic with the ball. He's not a guy who's strong enough with the basketball to consistently get in the lane and make things happen. I mean, he's able to do things in transition, and he's able to do some things one-on-one to kind of get a guy on his hip and ride him down low and use his size and strength to finish at the rim. But once again, he's not a guy who can, consistently break down the defense and get into the lane and make things happen. So I feel like, outside of Michael Brown and kind of Ryan Conwell, but Ryan Conwell even struggled with the spacing in college because, of the ability to kind of close down the lanes that, he just wasn't quick enough to get around guys and make things happen. That was what Coach Kelsey was not going to get into this time. And what he's done is he's gone out there and he's made sure that he has multiple competent ball handlers with burst, which is what you need to be able to get guys, to get the ball into the lane and be able to create havoc defensively to where the defense is having to help on ball handlers and drivers. And that in turn leads to easier kick out shots where guys like Carter Knox, guys like Jackson Shelstad, guys like Alvaro Folgueras, guys like Boyan Zhang, as well as Isaac Ellis, who are good three-point shooters. Maybe they're not the 42, 43, 44% snipers, but they are guys that if you leave them open and they get a catch-and-shoot opportunity, they're going to shoot that shot at a very good percentage. And I think that's what Coach Kelsey is banking on. I'm going to get strong ball handlers, and I'm going to have enough of those ball handlers because the Kelsey offense, the thing that we have not seen since Coach Kelsey has been here, has been what his offense looks like when you have 2 to 3 very good ball handlers on the court at the same time. And I think that's what he wants to get out of his offense. I think that's one of the reasons why when we saw this team play down in the Bahamas, who were the starters? Let's ask ourselves that. Who are the starters? Jackson Shelstad, London Johnson, Deshane Montgomery, along with Alvaro Folgueras and Flory Badunga. Why did he do that? People are like, oh, well, why wasn't Woolley in the starting lineup? Why was Woolley not in why was Woolley not in there? You know why? Because your best 3 drivers with the ball, the best 3 guys that can put pressure on the defense, get to the rim, draw fouls, or create offense are Jackson Shelstad, London Johnson, and Deshane Montgomery. Adrian Woolley is a powerful physical driver of the basketball, but he's not going to be a quick guy who can get into the lane, cause help, and spray to the corner. He's a good secondary driver, which basically means if, let's say, Jackson Shelstad uses his quickness to get into the lane, the help comes, so you spray it out to Woolley, and now Wooley's open in the corner, and so you have to, close out. He can drive a closeout and get into the lane and finish on a closeout, but he's not a guy who's at the point of attack, can use his burst, his quickness to get into the lane. Those are the only 3 guys that really have that. I don't know about Isaac Ellis. He's a freshman, so I'm not putting him on that list. But those 3 guys, like I talked about, Shelstad, London Johnson, Deshane Montgomery, those are the only 3 guys that have the burst to be able to get into the lane and put the defense in rotation, which I feel like is going to be a huge key to the team this year. So with only having those 3 guys, and Louisville literally started all 3 of those. Now, I'm not saying that all 3 of those guys will start once the season comes, because I do feel that Carter Knox will be the 3 man. He will be the wing. He's a guy who also has the burst to get in there. He's a little bit more like Adrian Woolley because he's more of a physical driver than a quickness driver. But he is a very good athlete, and he's a better athlete than Adrian Woolley. But I feel like the fact that you only had 3 of those guys and you did not have one of those guys with that type of burst off the bench, now you add in a Seth Trimble. Now you have a 4th guy who is a guy who can, at the point of attack, use his burst to get in the lane, and the defense has got to respect it, and he's going to be a guy that causes help and is going to create the kick out to the Knox, the kick out to the Woolley, who's going to either be able to, if they don't get back out on him, is going to have a wide open shot, or if they do get the closeout, those guys will be able to drive the closeout and have something happen. I feel like Seth Trimble is a guy that's going to help the offense run smoother. And I think that's huge because, first of all, he's going to impact the offense because he's going to be able to force rotation defensively. But then he's literally one of the best defensive perimeter players in the nation. Like, literally one of the best on-ball defenders, probably one of the best 2 or 3 on-ball defenders in the country. So you have a guy who you can put the point of attack on the point guard, the 2 guard, the wing, and he's going to be able to just cause havoc, getting into passing lanes, helping down and smacking the ball away from big men, and then can get out in transition and just be absolutely dynamic. So I think Deshane Montgomery was the perfect ad because I think that he gives Louisville now 4 ball handlers with burst that are also dynamic defensively. Now, I don't know how good defensively Jackson Shelstad's going to be, but, I feel like, those other 3, when you talk about Deshane Montgomery, you talk about Seth Trimble, and you talk about London Johnson, those are 3 excellent two-way players to where they're going to be able to force turnovers on defense and be able to be dynamic offensively. And when you have two-way athletes like that, and then you add them to a two-way athlete and superstar like Flory Badunga down low, as well as the potential of an Obina Akizi and what he has in his two-way ability down low, when you have 5 star two-way players, in my personal opinion, that I feel like Louisville has with those 5 gentlemen, you have the opportunity to have a devastating basketball team. When you want to talk about what made Michigan so effective last year and why was Michigan so good, it was because Michigan had multiple outstanding two-way players. When you talk about Namari Barnett, you talk about Yaxel Lindeborg, you talk about Johnson, the big man who got drafted by the Mavericks at number 9. You talk about those stalwart two-way players, Ade Mara, who was an excellent two-way player, excellent defensive player, and a very efficient offensive player that could score on the block. When you have devastating two-way players that are efficient and effective offensively, but also great defenders, that's when you have championship-level teams. And I think that's what makes Louisville different, is that they do have those guys that can be standouts on both ends. Texter says, Cards team guards are just like UK's last year. Driving guards, suspect shooting. I don't think they're suspect shooting. Like, you got to understand, Jackson Shelstad was an excellent shooter early in his basketball career. His shooting numbers took a slump down to, I believe 32% last year. But you got to understand, he came into the season off of a broken wrist, and then he tore ligaments in that hand in late December, and ended up having to shut it down for the year. His shooting suffered a lot because he was dealing with hand injuries. So, I don't think that Jackson Shelstad is a suspect shooter. I mean, you talk about who was the kid they had at point guard that they brought in last year, the kid from Pittsburgh. His name already escapes me. See, there's too many transfers, but Jalen Lowe. When Jalen Lowe came in, Jalen Lowe was like a career 27% three-point shooter. Like, Jackson Shelstad's not that. Jackson Shelstad is an excellent shooter. He's an excellent creator, a guy who's known for hitting big shots and being a perimeter threat. That's his thing. So, like, he's not a suspect shooter. Same thing with Adrian Woolley. If Adrian Woolley's out there, Adrian Woolley, came over as a 40% three-point shooter. He shot about 35, 36%. He's a good shooter. Deshane Montgomery is a solid shooter. He wasn't great last year. He's 34%, on decent volume. And Carter Knox was a 37% three-point shooter. He was a good shooter. Albert Forgaris was a 40% three-point shooter. So he's a good shooter. So, like, I don't think that Louisville is a suspect shooter. That's the thing I don't understand about some of the commentary. Like, to me, a lot of the commentary that we've been getting from Kentucky people, especially, about this Louisville team just doesn't make any sense. The dumb crap about Flory Badunga being a 6'7" center is bullcrap. Okay, first of all, he measured as 6'7" and 3/4, which is basically 6'8", and in shoes he's 6'9" with a 7'7" wingspan. Okay, so, like, literally his measurables put him at basically the same size as Oscar Tshiebwe, who was freaking National Player of the Year for Kentucky. Okay, so like he's an All-American, right? He's an All-American center. So that's the first dumb thing. And the second ridiculous thing is saying that Louisville doesn't have shooting. Like, all of these guys are solid shooters. Is there an Isaac McNeely? No. Is there a Rain Smith? No. But all of these guys are guys that are very effective catch and shoot guys, which is all Louisville's going to basically look to do this year. They're going to either want guys like Shelstad, like Trimble, like Montgomery, to get into the lane and create catch and shoot opportunities, or they're going to throw the ball into Flory Badunga, let him work, and when the double team comes, kick it out for wide open shots. Catch and shoot threes on kickouts are much higher percentage 3-point shots. And Louisville has guys that are very good at hitting those shots. That's all you need. Michigan, Arizona, two of your top 4 teams in the country last year, barely shot any threes at all. But when they did shoot threes, they were basically of the get the ball down low and kick it out to a shooter variety. And they were able to hit a decent percentage, a solid percentage of those. And, we saw Michigan do that all the way through the NCAA tournament. I mean, how many wide open 3-point shots did Yaxel Lindeborg get where, the ball's in Mara's hands, or the ball's in Johnson's hands, or Namari Barnett is attacking off the bounce, and then you kick it out to Yaxel, who's wide open, and dude is shooting darn near 50% from 3 because all he's shooting is catch and shoot threes. I mean, and that's literally what, Pat Kelsey is doing with this Louisville team. He is creating a big, physical, defensive basketball team that specializes in driving and kicking out to good catch and shoot shooters. That's what Louisville wants this year. That is not what Kentucky had last year. Now, to their credit, I give Owe all the credit in the world, because Owe turned himself into a very good catch and shoot shooter. And that's what he thrived on. When, Kentucky was good last year, it was when you were able to get those opportunities where you could get the ball to Owe in catch and shoot situations where, guys would have it down low, whether it be Marino, or whether it be one of their other guys, Aberdeen attacking off the bounce or whatever, and being able to kick it out to Owe in the corner, and him being able to just catch and shoot without having to dribble, without having to do anything. I mean, Owe as a off the dribble shooter was like a 29%, 28%, 27% 3-point shooter. But when was Owe successful? When it was a catch and shoot shot. When Owe shot it off catch and shoot, he shot over 40% from 3 last year. That's my point. That's what Louisville wants out of their team this year. They want guys to be set up in opportunities where all they have to do is catch and shoot off the catch. The only 2 guys that are, have shown the ability to be effective off the dribble shooters were pretty much Deshane Montgomery is a decent off the dribble shooter, and Jackson Shelstad is a very good off the dribble shooter. Like he did that all the time at Oregon. So, I just say all that to say I understand that Seth Trimble, when people don't look at his 29% 3-point shooting number and just say, oh God, that's not a guy that, we want. He can't help the shooting. Well, Louisville didn't bring him in for shooting. They brought him in to be a dynamic defensive player, and they brought him in to be an aggressive driver that can get into the lane, get fouled, and create open looks for guys out on the perimeter. And I think that Coach Kelsey now understands and understood that having that balance, having guys that can get into the lane, having guys that can consistently touch the paint, possession in and possession out, is a must if you're going to have a consistent offense. Because if you look at Louisville through his first 2 years, the biggest issue with Louisville has been the fact that their offense goes on ridiculous lulls where they would go 3 and 4 and 5 minutes without scoring baskets. And the reason why is because they were basically just living and dying by shooting 35, 36, 38 threes per game and just hoping that they hit enough of them, because these guys are great shooters, so they can just shoot and hit a bunch of tough shots. But that's not good enough when you turn around and not only are you not hitting enough of those shots, but these guys are marginal defenders. You're asking, Isaac McNeely to get out there and defend aggressively on the perimeter when he doesn't have the foot speed for it. You're asking, Ryan Conwell to be a competent defender, even though he's only about 6'2". So he's a little bit smaller. He doesn't necessarily have the length to be an effective guard out on the wing. You're asking Javon Hadley to get down there and play the 4 and be a big physical force on the interior when he's just 6'6" at best. So, it's just a different style of play. I think Seth is perfect for it. And I think he'll be good. I think he'll be very good. I think that he'll be dynamic. And by the time the season gets here and people start to see his value, Seth Trimble's the type of guy that will be looked upon the same way that Louisville fans looked at Javon Hadley. I really do. He's that type of guy. He's that type of leader. He's that type of just, I'm going to leave it all on the floor type of personality. And I think he fits the culture perfectly. So I'm super excited to see what's going to happen. I'm super excited to see where this thing goes next. Of course, it's been said that by the end of next week, we will have a ruling on what's going to happen with with Mark Mitchell and his decision. And my only question is this, man, is if, people are saying that it's already guaranteed that Mark Trimble or that Mark Mitchell is going to be headed to the University of Kentucky. But he is not committed to Kentucky as of yet. So I'm just going to put that out there. We'll see what happens. Good luck. Thanks so much to everybody for tuning in with us. This is Raashaan Myers. Thanks so much to Haven Harrington, Jay Has, Brian Durbin, Wake Up 502, and we'll be back next week.
If you're looking for more, step on the dance floor. Check your coat and your troubles at the